Thank you all for coming. My name is Tim Scott. I'm a candidate in House District 117, Berkeley and Charleston counties. We've tried to assemble some like-minded candidates who are looking for an opportunity to restore the trust between the citizens of South Carolina and the state government. We have come together on 4 basic ideals that all talk about reform. Basically, it starts with the whole concept that taxes and spending over the last 3 years have been completely out of control, 41% growth. We have structural reforms, trying to empower the executive branch, giving them an opportunity to truly lead our state. We have judicial reforms as well, giving the governor an opportunity to appoint the judges with the General Assembly's approval. And finally, legislative and ethics reforms. I believe that these are 4 key issues that we all agree upon, and we're looking forward to an opportunity to really engage citizens of South Carolina to get us started back on earning the trust, earning the support of our citizens. And at this time, Tom Davis will continue the conversation.
Right, what I've done, again, my name is Tom Davis, candidate for Senate District 46, and talking with these group of candidates back here, we've come up with a group of ideas and organized them. And I'm going to have various candidates come forward and talk about a various section. Right now I'm going to ask Roger to come up and talk a little bit about tax and spending reform.
Thank you, Tom. I'm Roger Nutt. I'm candidate for House District 35. One of the main things that we're talking about, and I'm hearing from my district, is the taxing and spending reforms that we need in our state. Our budget has grown over 40% over the last 3 or 4 years. It's gone from 5.1 billion back in 04, about to 7.1 billion today, over 40%, and we need to do some things about it. And we're looking at an annual cap on the spending. We also want to take a look at some revenue reform, trying to reform our tax structure to better suit exactly what's going on. We'd like to get to the point where the state budget actually grows at a rate of growth that is sustainable. We've got the zero-based budgeting throughout the state government. Instead of building on last year's budget, go back and start the budget over from the beginning, give the different agencies exactly what they need instead of just something extra every year. Independent Inspector General, elimination of the so-called competitive grants program. Those are items that we all want to look at as we try to reform the South Carolina state government. And thank you, Tom. I appreciate this opportunity.
Before I move on to the next section, let me put a fine point on something. The National Association of State Budget Officers, nonpartisan independent branch, has certified that we have grown state government by 40.3% over the last 3 years. That's not a made-up number. That's not a puffed-up number. That's not an inflated number. That's the actual number. That is twice as fast as the national state average and almost 3 times our ability to pay for it, which is why this year, in a down budget cycle, we're having cuts to core government services like law enforcement, roads, and schools. We're here to make sure that doesn't happen. We're here to put a cap on spending. Okay, next I'm going to ask for Brad to come forward. Brad is I'll let you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the structural reforms.
I'm Brad Bonney. I'm House candidate for District 81 out of Aiken. And my feeling is the structural reforms we have, that issue impacts everything we do in this state, and it's the foundation of our government and our society. If we cannot reform the structure, which is based on, as many of you know, 1895 Constitution, until we change the structure of our government, everything else, education, economics, infrastructure, nothing is going to change in this state, healthcare, until we get that structure reformed. We're the only state in the union that elects 9 constitutional officers statewide. Most states average 4. We're the only state with a budget control board. We're the only state that elects the adjutant general. We need to reform these issues, and until we do so, everything else, the spending, the ethics, judicial, until we do the structure, we're going to not be able to effectively, we'll have incremental change, but we'll never have true reform in all the other areas of our state issues until we get the structure down.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Tom.
Again, to put a number with it, it costs us 138% of the U.S. average to execute our laws. General Assembly passes the laws, executive branch executes them. Governing Magazine has certified that it costs us 138% of the U.S. average to take those laws and to translate them into things that benefit the people. That is certified by Governing Magazine, and that is not doing the citizens of South Carolina any favors. Next, I'd like to ask Mr. Wiley to come forward and talk a little bit about legislation and ethics reform. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Bill Wiley, and I'm running for the state legislator in District 21 in the Greer-Simpsonville area, and I'd like to talk a little bit about the legislature ethics reform. Back with Lost Trust, we had a number of laws that were changed that helped our ethics. However, I still believe there's a significant amount of things that need to be done in order to at least bring perception as well as reality to improved ethics. Louisiana, Governor Jindal just passed a sweeping reform law, and it's pretty bad when you have to hold Louisiana up as the bright shining star of ethics, but I think it shows that there's an opportunity for us to do a lot in South Carolina to restore the trust of government to our citizens. We need to shorten the legislative sessions to 40 days instead of the 5-month period we have. I think that if the legislature comes prepared with what needs to be done, we can focus on key issues instead of a number of frivolous issues. I had, my old mom used to tell me that the idle hands was a devil workshop. So if we could do that in 40 days, I think we could probably save the state a lot of money as well. Strengthening ethics and disclosure laws. I look at South Carolina as one of the biggest businesses in the state. So if we want our state to run well and honestly like any good business was, we should report to our shareholders, which is the citizens, the voters, just as a corporation would report to their stockholders, to let them know what's happening and how their money's being spent and who's spending it. Stopping the practice of naming roads, overpasses, and bridges and buildings after the current legislative body of their contributors. There's nothing much to say about that. They're spending the taxpayers' money to make themselves look better and to get elected the next time. That's just silly, and it shouldn't be done. I ought to be able to see here. Gerrymandering the districts, that's been going on particularly in the South for a long time. I think that the districts should represent the demographics of the people, not the elected official representing the demographics they want in their districts. So I think there's a lot of work to be done. I think with a lot of like-minded challenges, we can get a lot done in this state. So I would appreciate a vote on June the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. Rowley. Get you to hold this for me real quick, and I'll talk about the last. Got two hands. It's kind of a strong win.
It's like a sale.
The last point on there is judicial reforms. As we all know, we live in a legislative state. We have a legislature that goes ahead and makes the laws. We have a legislature that essentially controls the execution of the laws to the Budget Control Board. We have a legislature that essentially controls the judicial branch by electing the judges. We are well served in this nation and by 49 other states by having 3 separate branches of government, each that check and balance each other. Here in South Carolina, the legislative state, we don't have that. What we're calling for here in regard to judicial reforms is a model followed by most other states, patterned after the federal government, where you have the executive appoints and the legislature has advised and consent. It is extremely important for the health of our state government to have 3 co-equal branches of government, each checks and balancing the other. We don't have that in South Carolina. We have one branch that predominates everything in South Carolina, and that's what's held us back for too long. So judicial reforms is all about having a judiciary that is truly a co-equal and independent branch of government and one that cannot be unduly influenced by the legislature. And what I'll do now is, we've hit on these 4 things. It's all embodied in a more detailed contract that any challenger or candidate that feels they want to support that will sign his or her name to it. And that'll be available for the public to look at and to size up. And I guess now we'll answer any questions that anybody else might have.